And Kevin, an alarming result for Canada, especially when you consider that Canada is set to host a World Cup in less than 3 years' time. Has Canada regressed since qualifying for Qatar, or is this just the growing pains of playing against better competition?
No, in a word, yes. I think they have regressed. This has largely been down, of course, on John Herdman's watch. If you look at the competitive fixtures that they've had at the World Cup after qualification, aside of the Belgium game, very, very poor in the two games. If you look at the Nations game against the USA, they were outplayed for long spells in that game. A terrible performance when they've had the big players involved. And this is just another one of those games where they haven't performed as a team and the big players haven't performed individually. So I think it is fair to say they have regressed since the World Cup, yes.
We are a month away from the next international window when Canada will play a crucial Copa America qualifier. It's important to point out that Canada won't need to face a team of Japan's quality to qualify, but does this result give you any concern for those chances?
Well, it does give me concern simply off the fact that collectively they look like they're disorganised. They look like they're going to concede whenever the opposition is coming at them defensively. Going back to CONCACAF qualification for the World Cup, defensively was one of Canada's biggest strengths. Now they're conceding lots of goals and they don't look like they're able to contain teams. So that's one thing that absolutely concerns me. But I think if you look at it overall, they are back in their own region. They're back against a side, as you say, that doesn't have the quality of Japan. So it will be a little bit heartwarming for them going into those fixtures that they've got teams that they know they're more than capable of beating.
A lot of the talk coming into the match was where Alphonso Davies would play. We know that he wants to play further up the field for Canada, but Biello chose to play him as a wing back for everything that he provides going forward. Can Canada depend on him defensively in that position?
Well, he has his frailties defensively. That's been proven a number of times. Mauro Biello coming into the game stated that he would absolutely look to play Alphonso Davies in his more natural position going forward. I think that's best for Canada personally, but he does struggle defensively at times. Eric Ten Hag stated recently that he does struggle defensively and he can be caught out. He absolutely can be caught out. I've seen it from him on a number of occasions. And I think we saw that at the start of the game today, where he allowed a ball to be played in behind him. He didn't necessarily get himself in position quick enough. He then gave the ball away in trying to correct that. And then he didn't prevent the cross. That was one of the reasons why Canada conceded the first goal for the start from Alphonso Davies solely. I think he could have done better on the own goal personally. I know that might seem a bit harsh, but I don't feel as though he got himself back into position quick enough. And I felt he was a little bit lethargic in dealing with the bobble on the ball that was played across. Harsh, yes, it may be, but this is a top class player. And going forward, it's never been an issue for Alphonso Davies. He's so good going forward. My only issue is Alphonso Davies has stated, as you say, that he wants to play further forward. If you do that, you're taking one of the other attacking players, one of Canada's best players out of the side. And that has got to be an issue for Canada. I feel as though they've got to get the best players into the team. And there's a system that works for Alphonso Davies in the 3-5-2 system where he's solely played at wing back. He doesn't necessarily have the full responsibility defensively, and he can get forward. And also, I think you're getting your better players into the attacking positions. I think that's the best way for Canada to go.
Qualifying for the World Cup, Canada has played 8 matches against teams ranked in the top 25 in the world, winning just one time. Why has Canada struggled against top quality opposition over the last year?
Well, it goes down to lack of exposure over the last 3 or 4 years. I'd say playing against top class opposition. The best teams in CONCACAF, everybody knows, are the US and Mexico. So you take those two sides out, Canada haven't necessarily been playing against a lot of top quality opposition prior to the World Cup, and that's where it goes against them. I think the result against Japan, who have absolutely made a step up since the World Cup, they're a better team. If you look at their past results and performances, they look a way better side than they were at the World Cup. And Canada aren't in the position that they were when they qualified for the World Cup. I think they look lax defensively. They're not able to contain sides. And the better sides that you play against around the world are able to pick out weaknesses in the opposition more freely than the lesser teams that we've seen Canada playing CONCACAF. So that is one of the reasons why. You take maybe the Belgium result, I would say, at the World Cup, take that aside, or performance, should I say. They've played very poorly, and a lot of teams have found a lot of weaknesses within Canada's side. Certainly the teams that have been in the top levels of world football, world soccer.
This is the first game in the post-John Herdman era for Canada. How much did this coaching change have an impact on the result?
Well, yes, a new, fresh voice coming into it, a fresh coaching staff or a coaching team that's gone into this game, and you'd look at it and think that results might change because you have to say, under John Herdman, results over the last year, certainly performances against the better opposition that I've just touched on, has been very poor. If you go back to the USA game in the Nations League, that was the last time that the better players from Canada, the real superstars from the Canada group, have come together, and it was a terrible performance in that USA game. That was under John Herdman's watch, so it's just a continuation. Mauro Biello will know there's a lot of work to be done with this side, but I don't necessarily see it as a reflection solely on Mauro Biello this game. He's had only a few days preparation for the game. He's not necessarily been able to put his stamp on the team. He's not necessarily been able to work with the side on the training field intensively. So Mauro Biello's big appointment or big thing to look at will be in the next window when he has a lot more time to work with the group, when he has more time to work on the structure of the side and organisation of the side. That will be more of a reflection on Mauro Biello as a coach and as a manager.
Now, that said, has the result cost interim manager Mauro Biello a chance at keeping the job going forward?
No, not necessarily. I feel as though that he'll be disappointed. Absolutely. The group of players will be disappointed. But this was almost a huge learning curve for him and his players. And as I said, he'll be disappointed, and there's a lot for him to look at. But there are positives from the first 35, 40 minutes of the game. They were more than in the game. Yes, they were still conceding chances, and Japan could have been 2 or even 3 up during that spell. But they did create chances. They did miss a penalty. So there are things that Mauro Biello will look at and take forward. The one thing he has to look at, I think, though, is at the absolute defensive solidity of the side and the organisation. It's something that let Canada down badly, not just in the Japan game, but going back over the last 3 or 4 games against top quality opposition.
Canada was missing one of its biggest pieces today in Stefan Eustaquio. Does this show that he's the most important player for Canada right now?
Yeah, I think this game highlights the fact that Stefan Eustaquio is Canada's most important player. He's not necessarily going to go and get you a goal or change a game in the final third, but for how Canada play and the whole structure of the team, how they're going to keep possession of the ball, how they're going to get Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, Carl Laren, Tejan Buchanan, if he's fit and available, how do these guys get into the game? It's solely down to Stefan Eustaquio and his ability to keep the ball for Canada. It's not something new. We've not said this recently. I've been saying this over the last year, 18 months, that Stefan Eustaquio is absolutely Canada's most important player. Often overlooked, but I think this result against Japan absolutely shows me that if he is fit, Canada will be a total different proposition when they do have possession of the ball going into the next window of fixtures.
All right, our international soccer expert, Kevin Kilbane.
Thank you.